Hi everybody, welcome to a very special edition of our BGGA webinar. Today we've got our QRIDA ladies, Cherie and Tegan, to talk to us about disaster recovery, which is a very timely issue given the time of year. So over to you ladies.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name's Tegan McBride. I'm the Regional Area Manager for QRIDA in Central Coast and the Whitsundays region. So I go from Bowen out to Claremont and down to Clairview, beautiful part of the world. So a little bit about QRIDA, if we haven't met or discussed QRIDA in the past. So the Queensland Rural and Industry Development Authority is a statutory authority of the Queensland Government. We provide administrative services and financial services as for the Queensland Government and actually other government agencies across Australia, in fact. So primarily the role is assisting producers to get loans to get a first start into growing. And often sustainability loans to improve their productivity on their farm. But today we're here to talk about disasters, given the recent events that have been going on since about the 24th of December. We've been in a monsoon trough, which included TC Koji. And it's some additional activities that we take care of is first start loans, sustainability loans, disaster recovery grants and loans, drought preparedness grants, farm debt services, and other schemes. So we've got 11 regional area managers across our network, and we cover the whole of Queensland. So I'm your regional area manager here in the Whitsundays and Bowen region, and Angelo Regano is our area manager to the north. We've got our disaster manager here today. So Cherie Finney is joining us from Brisbane. And
excellent. So I'm just going to quickly run through what QRIDA is providing to primary producers that have sustained some damage as a result of I guess this year's entire monsoon and TC Koji and all of the rainfall and severe weather that we've been seeing this particular season. So look, number one, the first one off the board is the Exceptional Disaster Assistance Recovery Grant. This is for directly affected primary production businesses. So what we mean by directly affected, it means that there is something to repair, there is something to restore, or something to replace. It has had water damage, or it's been broken as a result of wind from Koji or something like that. There is physical damage has occurred. Maximum grant for this is up to $75,000. And look, there's a couple of ways to actually get the funding, but there is an additional amount that's available up to $10,000, which is just an initial claim. You need to provide some evidence that there has been that direct damage. So if we get some photographs and just some evidence that that's happened, but then just some verifiable information about how much it's going to cost. So yes, of course, quotes is very helpful, but some past tax invoices to show us how much it cost last time to do repairs or to do what, to implement what was placed there. All of those sorts of things to show us that that how much money you are going to be requiring, and $10,000 can be placed into your bank account with those, those forms of evidence, so we can then get going from there, because after that it's a rebate. So you go out, you spend the money, and then come back in. It can be done a couple of ways. You can go and spend the full $75,000 and do just one big application, and all of the money can be rebated to you. You can do it in one small amount of the $10,000, then come back to us after you've spent that and some extra money, or you can do it in teeny tiny increments. You get the first $10,000 and then you come back to us when you've spent another 3 or another 5 or even just 1, and you can come up back to us each and every time until the full $75,000 is used. Now, but I know that the growers network within the Burdekin, Whitsundays, as well as the Burdekin, and Mackay, Whitsundays have all been activated in this region. So most of the growers that have had disaster impacts should be able to be eligible for this. The closure date isn't until the 6th of January. So if it seems overwhelming and you're really worried about getting the paperwork and it seems like you're worried about that, it's not going anywhere. It is open until the 6th of January next year. The things that you can do, I like to think of it really simply, that if you have to repair something, you have to replace it or you have to restore it, then that's something that can be covered. Purchasing new things isn't really within the remit. It's like for like. If you've got something that's been damaged, we'll replace it with what was there in the first place. But there are other things that you can do. So if you need to hire equipment to undertake any of the cleanup that's required, like you can absolutely do that. If you've got additional labor costs above and beyond normal wage expenditure, that you need to get extra people to come in and do that cleanup, that can be covered. If you have to dispose, any damaged goods or, all of those costs are involved in that as well. Repairs to buildings, as long as it's not the house, that's something that can be covered. Fencing, if you need, essential plant and equipment like pumps and things that need replacing, irrigation, all of those sorts of things. I know that one might be interesting, salvaging crops, grains and feed, but what can be done also is replanting costs. That is actually something that's included now, and previous years it hasn't been, so that is something that can be done now. If you need to, lease something temporarily while yours gets fixed, we can do that as well. You might need tradies to come in, whether that's a sparky to make sure that it's safe. We've seen situations where engineers need to come in for culverts, things like that. All of that can be covered. And essential repairs to premises and internal fittings that insurance doesn't cover. Of course, if your insurance covers it, then it's not eligible under this. Except one of the really big things that can be done, particularly important when you are talking about insurance, if you have an excess on your policy, your excess is an eligible activity. When I move on to just quickly onto the disaster assistance loans. So this is up to $250,000 for primary producers that when they need to reestablish. The $75,000 might not be enough. You might need to build back something better, so it's not like for like. The costs incurred that is the betterment can come under the disaster assistance loan. But what else can come under the disaster assistance loan is your normal everyday carry on that you may not have the cash flow because you've had to, concentrate on recovery. So, like if your wages or your rates or your rent or lease payments or any of those sorts of things, even your electricity bill, all of that can come under this as well. What does need to be done when you do apply for your disaster assistance loan, anything that's liquid needs to be utilised first. So if you've got an overdraft facility or farm management deposit that you can tap into, that will need to be utilised first. But if you have a term deposit that has been set away because you're building a shed in 3 months' time or something like that, that is not what we would consider liquid. We would just need to be told about that, so then we can, counteract that requirement for that eligibility. So yeah, that's how that one works. The next one here is a lot of farm businesses find themselves in a situation where they may not actually have damage on farm as a result, but they've seen a really significant dip in their cash flow or their ability to carry on. So it might be due to road closures. It might be due to, that you couldn't get your stock out and you've seen a dip in your cash flow. So that is what we call a disaster assistance essential working capital loan. So obviously there's no repair and restoration to be done. So these loans are slightly smaller. These are up to $100,000, but this is for that carry on business. You pay creditors, you pay your wages, you pay your rates, you pay your leases, all of that sort of stuff can come into this particular loan. Just as a result, there's nothing to repair, but you still have had an adverse effect. Now, both of these loans that I've just been discussing are only 2.14%. for completely fixed, that will not change for up to 10 years. There is an opportunity for an interest-only portion within that if it's required, but that's of course upon discussing and upon application, and it gets assessed and then we discuss it. Now, the closure date on these loans isn't until December 31 next year, so 2027, the end of next year. So look, sometimes like we understand, we know people try to, just, pull their socks up and carry on. But sometimes a couple of months down the track, or even, up to a year down the track, it's really struggling. You're on struggle street and there is a real need, and you have noticed that there's still ongoing adverse effects as a result. It's still open and it's still available for application. Now, the way that there's lots of hints and tips on how to apply for, there's a lot of information out there, especially for the grant. So on our website, if you scroll all the way to the bottom on the disaster assistance section, there's a little bit, and there's a section that says, it's a little button that says apply now. Onto the right-hand side of that, there's these 3 little documents there. There's application tip, guideline interpretation guide, and an applicant journey map. The application tip is really handy. You have it next to you while you're applying, and it gives you examples of what a good photo looks like versus a photo that we can't really see anything on. What a tax, like the things that we need a tax invoice to show, what we need we need a bank statement, why we need that. All of those details are in there, so you have the best opportunity to, put in an excellent application and get it done as quickly as possible. A guideline interpretation guide it's the way that I think of it, like obviously we have a frequently asked questions section, but these guideline interpretation guides, because the guidelines are a little bit of a legal speak, sometimes it's just nice to have them spoken in real English. So we have a question, an answer, and then a tip that says, this is what it really means. And it's really plain English. And it's kind of those frequently asked questions that we get a lot. And then the applicant journey map is just a handy thing to know that when you've applied, this is where it goes. This is what happens. This is how long it can take, so you kind of get a sense that, you don't put it out into the wilderness and no one ever going to help you. You can see in the background what's going on. A reminder, these don't close until the 6th of January next year. So there's plenty of time. Give yourself some grace and, be patient with yourself, because sometimes this paperwork can seem overwhelming. But if it is overwhelming, we've got a big team that can help you. Obviously, that's me and my mug up the top, but there are 6 regional area managers at the moment that are activated to assist. Tegan, right, sitting next to me on my left, but also we've got Angelo, who is in the Burdekin region, and he can help you out with that. But the way to get in contact with us is right here. So we've got the 1-800-623-946. You can ask to go through to one of our regional area managers, just let them know where you're living and they can do that, or you can go straight through to a disaster team who are specialists in these. And if somebody's available to talk to you right then and there, they absolutely will. But every now and then, we're only a small team, so they might require a call back, or I'll just direct you to the top right of your screen. There's a little bit up there that says QRIDA Connect. Now, everybody in Queensland, particularly since COVID, is really, really aware of, things like telehealth or working from home or, Teams, webinars, things like that. But QRIDA Connect has been set up so you can have a one-on-one, face-to-face online conversation with one of our team on our disaster specialists. You can share your screen and say, this is where we're coming unstuck. This is what we need help with. Or we can share our screen to show you where to go. It's really gentle, a lot of hand holding, as much as you need. Or it can just, a QRIDA Connect session is just like a set aside time that we will set aside to call you back. So it's just like an appointment really, but it's nice and gentle. It's online. You do it in your kitchen table. We do it from our desks. So it's really good. You can send us an email at any time. And of course, the website's pretty comprehensive. But yeah, just give us a call. Our opening hours are actually 8:30 right through to 5. So we've got, a broad, a broad opening hour for a government agency, I think. But that QRIDA Connect, if it needs to be out of hours, we can arrange special circumstances for out of hours for QRIDA Connect as well. But that's it from us. Look, I really like to thank you guys for having us and hosting our webinar for us today. I really do encourage you to call us. There's probably 1,000 things that you're all thinking about, wanting to question. We're very approachable. We're not scary. We're, you know, I like to think of QRIDA as a really gentle government agency. We are here to help. We want to say yes at every turn, at every single time that we come in. We want to say yes as often as we can. We want you guys to get back fully recovered as quickly as possible. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
That's excellent, girls. Thank you so much for joining us today. You kind of touched on it before. I do just have a quick question. It might just, you know, help people who are on the fence about maybe applying or not. So what documentation do growers typically need before, like to have ready before they go and apply?
Sure. So we'll just require some photographic evidence, so 5 to 10 photos. So that's probably the first thing to get together. And then they're also going to need their identification, a rates notice, the bank statement for the bank account details that the money will go back into. So that needs to be a business account if it's going to be, if it's that ABN, so same name. Also your business financials and your most recent tax returns. So if your FY25's done, that would be ideal, and potentially even a running P&L. Yes, I think that's it. I might have covered it.
Yeah. That in the application form. That's it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
First
And
thing, photos. Yeah. Make sure
photos.
yeah.
Do you need any time or date requirements on the photographs as well? Is there anything?
Yeah. So look, almost all cameras that are on our phones have those details. It's called metadata. It's stuck in the back of the photo that we have the ability to look at. There's often GPS attached to that as well. So there's nothing apart from taking it with your phone with your location on. That's it. That's it. There's no further requirements for that at all. The metadata is all embedded in there that we can look at. So it's nothing extra.
But we also understand that it might be difficult to get to those areas straight away after the events occurred. So just as soon as you can.
Safely. That's a big one. Okay, so we did also put out a survey to our growers, or not a survey. We asked for any growers who have been affected this season to complete the DPI survey, and we would ask any growers who have been affected during the season to fill that out, even if you're not going to apply. It just kind of helps the government get a bit of data about where there are issues for potential future funding or any future events that might happen. But that's it in a nutshell. Thank you both so much for coming and for that really thorough run through of what you guys do.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.